How can you make $150,000 and be food insecure?
There's absolutely no reason my tax dollars need to go to fund that woman's lack of responsibility with her budget. I feel people have never been taught how to budget. Actually, that's not the problem. Americans are making $150,000 a year and they still cannot afford groceries. What is going on? Thank you, Tammy, for sending me this video. Holy cow, I could not believe it.
You can see the impact of inflation most clearly these days at the grocery store. But you can also see it at food banks, where people who never dreamed they'd need it are turning for help. Even some with six-figure incomes are struggling to feed their families. Mark Strassman has tonight's Eye on America from Wallingford, Connecticut.
Forget the image you may have of people who are hungry. In America, hunger is now as mobile as this food bag serving a line 60 deep in Connecticut.
Being under financial stress takes a lot of time, a lot of planning, sometimes.
Take Chandra Kelsey, grocery shopping on a tight budget for her family of 5.
Being under financial stress does take a lot of time and a lot of planning. That is why you need to take that time and energy in planning so that you're not going to be under financial stress. And when things happen, you have the money to pay for them. You can save up to 50% off on our Dining on a Dime cookbooks for our Mother's Day sale happening right now. Easy recipes to get you in and out of the kitchen quick that your family will love. The link is in the description below. Please go check out our Dining on a Dime cookbooks right now and grab them up to 50% off.
It's whatever's on sale.
Food insecurity eats at her, a lifelong trauma.
You remember going to food banks? Mm-hmm. What was it like?
The first time I did it, I cried. To be in a position where you are doing okay and then you lose everything the next day, it's humbling. It's scary.
Okay, I get it. If something happens and you have everything and then all of a sudden everything is gone the next day and you're going to the food bank, that's one thing. But the fact is that is extremely rare where you will just lose everything and not have any food on the table the next day. That's it. I mean, even the next month. That is extremely rare. I understand things can happen. I get that. But even like with us last year, we had closer to 6 figures than 5 in medical bills last year. And it could have literally wiped us out. But it didn't. Why? Because we were preparing for the future. We were saving our money. We were frugal. We weren't buying all of these things all of the time, like sodas and junk foods and coffees and getting my nails done, getting my hair done, buying brand new cars, paying for all of these things that are not necessities. All of that money went into our savings. Then when we had this crisis happen, we had the money to pay for it. It really does go right back to boiling down to choices.
It's humbling. It's scary.
And yet you'd never suspect need has lived with his family.
Let's just pause on this photo right here for just a second and see what they said. The quote was, "And you'd never know need was a part of this family," with a photograph of this family sitting at a restaurant to eat. Let that sink in. How ironic this is. There is obviously no need in this family if they are at a restaurant eating. Okay, need is not at the door of this family. That is just absolutely ridiculous.
Household income is roughly
$150, 2 people working full-time. Sometimes I work 2 jobs.
How can you make $150,000 and be food insecure?
That's not what you bring home after taxes. You know, we have mortgage, insurance. We've got one kid on their way to college, one in college.
And look at what she's saying. They make $150,000 a year. $150,000 a year. And she's like, well, that's not what you bring home. Well, if you make $150,000 a year, you're not bringing home $20,000. You're bringing home at least $110,000 to $115,000 after taxes. Okay, yeah, I know you've got your house and then you've got your insurance, but look what she said. They're paying for college. Why are you paying for your kids' college? If you cannot afford food, you should not be paying for your kids' college. That is absolutely ridiculous. People have gotten on this thing where they think college is the be-all, end-all of financial security. Apparently, this woman has a college degree. She works at Harvard, it says later. And you can't figure this out? This is a way bigger problem than a money problem.
In college, something as small as $1,000 expense could throw things off significantly.
When you make over $100,000 a year take home, something is seriously wrong in your budget. $100,000 a year is more than plenty to pay anyone's basic expenses. Now, let's say you have cancer or some terminal or very awful disease or something where you're having to spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars out of pocket. That's fine. I will give you that. But once again, that is the exception, not the rule. It's the exception. It's very rare that that's the circumstances.
This one's crazy looking.
On and off for a decade, Kelsey has relied on help from Connecticut Food Share, the state's largest food bank.
Okay, so let me get this straight. On and off for over 10 years. 10 years. This woman has been going to the food bank and making over $100,000 a year, working at a prestigious university. Wow.
Are you seeing more people with higher incomes who need your help?
100%. Many of them come to us and say, I donated to you for years, and I never in a million years thought I would have to use this service.
Okay, that's nice that people have been donating to this food bank for years. But instead of donating to that food bank for years, why weren't you taking that same food that you were donating and creating your own stockpile? So that when something happened, you had the food on hand and you didn't have to go to the food bank to get the stuff. Why weren't you doing that?
What has changed?
A lot of economic unpredictability. They're scared about their cost of living is going to go up to. They're scared about what the price of eggs is going to be.
Okay, economic unpredictability, that has been the case since time began. This is nothing new. This has been going on literally since the beginning of time. People never knew from one day to the next, from 1 week to the next, 1 year to the next. You never know when you're going to lose your job. You never know when you're going to get an illness. You never know when there's going to be a depression or a war or a housing crisis. You never know. That's why you prepare ahead of time to weather these crises instead of relying on the government and food banks later on after you've just blown all your money. You know, it sounds all well and good and oh, they're doing so good because they're helping with the food bank giving back, when for 10 years on and off they've been going to the food bank. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Kelsey's scared about her job. She works as a program director at the Yale School of Public Health and worries about continued government funding of universities such as hers.
We are trying to be very cognizant that it could be around the corner.
Okay, I'm sorry, but that's just the way life is. Yale, she works at Yale, and she can't figure this out. And here's the thing, people who are my age, who have kids in college, these are the people teaching your kids in college. They can't do basic budget for themselves, and they are teaching your kids in college.
Government DOGE cuts last month slashed nearly $2 million from its food budget.
How do you replace that?
We don't. That's the problem.
Okay, so now they're turning it to try and make you feel bad because all of these cuts that President Trump is making with DOGE and all that, oh, DOGE lost they lost $2 million to the DOGE funding. And it's very interesting how they're trying to twist this around to make this sound like it's the bad guy. Listen, I'm sorry. I do not want my tax money going to people who are making over $100,000 a year and choosing to send their kids to college so then they go to the food bank and expect someone else to pay their food bill. Sorry. You know, I mean, there's absolutely no reason my tax dollars need to go to fund that woman's lack of responsibility with her budget.
But we're going to keep doing whatever we can to try to provide.
Provided to more families who never suspected their new worry is their next meal.
So this is the problem with America, is most people have never truly had to worry where their next meal is coming from. Because if you were truly worried about where your next meal was coming from, you would not be paying for your kids' college. You would not be paying for the soda. You would not be paying to get your nails done. You would not be paying for the new car. You would not be paying for a house you can't afford. If you truly were having problems getting food, all of those things would be cut so that you could buy food. The problem is people think it's everyone else's responsibility to take care of their finances instead of themselves, instead of them making responsible choices and having a budget and knowing where their money goes instead of just throwing it away. And then Tammy says, I feel people have never been taught how to budget. Actually, that's not the problem, is a budget. The problem is people my age and younger have not been taught the word no. From the 80s on, pretty much parents just give their kids what they want. And so now they're my age, paying for their kids' college, and they don't use the word no. That's where the problem is they think that they deserve all these things because they've worked hard all their life. I don't care how hard you've worked. You don't deserve anything. People have worked for eons without a vacation just to literally have their next meal. That's a problem that we only have in today's society. And people have totally gotten wants and needs, true needs, mixed up. College is not a need. Vacations are not a need. Your fingernails are not a need. They're just not. Tammy goes on to say her daughter paid for college with free scholarships, some loans, but she's already getting them paid off and getting ready to, and she's already saving for a new home. She says she doesn't worry about if my prices are cheaper. She said, I don't worry that your prices are cheaper than where I live. I buy for the best price I can here. I do pretty good. My grocery budget is $100 a week. That includes cat and dog food, paper, and all other things. For me, the best saving is digital coupons at Dollar General on Saturday. So it takes some thinking and work, but that woman in your other video needs to be tough. Instead, she is used to pushing a bad narrative. Thank you for trying to teach people. I always learn being encouraged by you and your mom. Thank you very much. That's the thing. People get so caught up in numbers, and it really doesn't matter what I pay for groceries or someone else pays for groceries. What matters is doing the best with what you have, with where you are. So just because I live in Wyoming, and as a general rule, food is higher than places, let's say like Missouri, where I was just visited Missouri, and some of the things where I was like, whoa, that's really cheap. But a lot of times it's not. It just is certain items, or one thing will be on sale this week here and another thing will be on sale there next week. You just work with what you have and you do the best with what you have. And it means you're not going to be buying your steak and your shrimp and your lobster, but you can have food and you can have healthy food. But when you're buying all your donuts and your ho-hos and your ding-dongs and your sodas and your iced coffees, that's not food. Those are occasional treats. They are not food for a regular, normal meal. There is plenty of inexpensive food for regular, normal meals if you want to cook it, but most people just don't want to cook it. Guys, tell me what your grocery budget is for how many people and where you live. I'm curious what everyone spends on their groceries. I spend about $400 to $500 a month to feed 4 of us. What is it that you spend? And if you want to learn how to save more money on groceries, go watch this video next. Visit us at livingonadime.com. We will see you guys next time.